Hello and welcome to Did You Know Gaming Extra. Today we're taking a look at some video game artwork which may or may not have been taken from somewhere else. We're phrasing this opening this way because we don't want to outright claim anybody has fully stolen artwork, since inspiration and ideas are spawned from our minds, and those ideas may have initially originated from somewhere else, whether it was a conscious effort or not. With that said, we're going over some examples of game covers and in-game graphics, new and old, that have people raising an eyebrow or two over whether they're truly original. We'll start with some early examples, such as with IK Plus or International Karate Plus, a game that saw widespread success in Europe. The game's cover art depicts karate fighters in the midst of a brawl, with a mysterious face in the dark void behind them. This face is clearly based on a real person, world-famous action star, musician, cop, and all-round weirdo Steven Seagal.
I'm just a cook.
Taken directly from the movie poster for 1988's Above the Law. Film posters are probably the most likely source for lifted artwork or inspiration used for video game covers. Just take a look at 2003's True Crime Streets of LA, with the cover showing lead detective Nick Kang looking menacing with a gun in your face. Not exactly an original pose in the first place, but even less so when placed next to the cover for 1998's The Replacement Killers. Many film stars are used for their likeness in games, even when their likeness isn't taken directly from a movie. Instead, this next instance comes from Japan. Arnold Schwarzenegger made an appearance in a commercial for Arenamin V, an energy drink that is said to keep Japan's legions of office workers on the go. Arnold's intimidating smile seems almost sinister in the ad, so it would make sense that the likeness here would be used on the front cover of Bare Knuckle 2, also known as Streets of Rage 2 outside of Japan. Here he appears as, presumably, Mr. X, the game's main antagonist. From games that took art from film to films that took art from games. One of the more iconic covers of recent years came from the renowned mushroom murder simulator, The Last of Us. The cover, depicting characters Joel and Ellie as they walk through the streets of a city reclaimed by nature, possibly inspired the film What Still Remains, a similarly themed post-apocalyptic tale. When Twitter user Rob Trench pointed out the similarities between both covers, it didn't take long for Last of Us director Neil Druckmann to take notice. The film dropped the cover for something slightly less unoriginal after just a short while, possibly due to someone noticing it wasn't quite authentic. It doesn't even have to be a film's official cover art for it to be used as inspiration for a game's cover. Borderlands 2 is a game oozing with visual style. That style was somewhat represented within their covers, showing a psycho with finger guns. For Borderlands 2, however, the team at 2K decided to include a reversible sleeve. On the reverse is an artistic representation of the game's lead antagonist, Handsome Jack, with the bounty hunters silhouetted within him. A very cool image, but unfortunately not particularly original. Artist Ollie Moss, who's been commissioned for many iconic film posters and video game artwork, pointed out that this sleeve looked somewhat familiar, and practically identical to his fan-made poster for Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. It isn't just the general concept of the poster, but Moss's signature silhouette style that is too close for comfort. Within the image, it's possible to line up clouds drawn by Moss, meaning that it was literally directly taken. Moss pointed out these similarities on his Twitter, stating that he doesn't consider it outright theft, with his own work referencing the creations of others, but that he was still pretty bummed out about it. When asked for comment, he told Kotaku, "I really don't want this to turn into a whole thing. Obviously, there's a lot of give and take in this business. As an homage, it's totally fine. The only reason I was originally disappointed is that I'd have loved to have done it myself." Then someone pointed out to me that the clouds in the background were directly lifted from my Empire Strikes Back poster, which strikes me more as laziness than anything else. I'm sure it's probably the work of some well-meaning internal designer who didn't know any better. No hard feelings, the game is great, I bought 2 copies. One piece of stolen artwork we're looking at is possibly the most blatant and daring of them all. For the cover of their 2012 album, Year of the Dragon, Busta Rhymes ostensibly commissioned an artist who just searched up keywords on Google Images, picked the first results, and photoshopped everything together. We say this because the creature on his album is very clearly taken from one of the most iconic pieces of Monster Hunter promotional art, a render of Rathalos which appeared in many ads for the original Monster Hunter on the PS2. Not only this, but the foot soldiers that Rathalos is roasting are ripped straight from a poster for 2011's Conan the Barbarian starring Jason Momoa. Maybe Busta Rhymes should just rebrand as Busta Rips. It's also been pointed out that Rathalos is a wyvern and not a dragon, making this case of plagiarism even more laughable. And now for a story that at the time of this video is extremely recent. Cel-shaded Visual Spectacle 13 had a remake that has just released. And yes, we know that there's some contention over the game's visual changes, as well as just about everything else, but we're simply looking at the front cover. The cover, used in many areas of the game's marketing, isn't exactly an original piece. This time, unlike our previous examples, it looks like the folk at Playmagic and Microids decided to take inspiration from another game, Splinter Cell Conviction. While the original 13 was in fact worked on by Splinter Cell publisher Ubisoft, the more recent remake seems to have little connection. This next piece has a decent amount of depth to it, though we won't assume that you're all aware of Boris Vallejo, a Peruvian painter known for his work in erotica and fantasy art. Vallejo has made many iconic images over the years that you might not know he was behind. Conan, Tarzan, National Lampoon's Vacation, and even Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theatres. His art was copied countless times during the 1980s. We could give countless examples of games that use Vallejo's art as a base, but what's more interesting is his work with Sega. Sega contracted Boris to make art for a few Genesis game covers, with notable examples being Echo the Dolphin, Phantasy Star 4, and Golden Axe 2. He was even paid to make the Golden Axe 3 cover, though it wound up being unused as the game was only available in the US through the Sega Channel, an online game service for the Genesis. What's interesting is that the artwork by Vallejo wasn't used in the physical release in Japan. A slightly different image was used instead, clearly based on Vallejo's art. The artist stated he made his image first, meaning that Sega of Japan had access to the art of a renowned artist, but chose to have a different artist recreate it with a more cartoonish style. It's entirely possible that Sega didn't just rip off the artwork, having contracted Vallejo with the right to reproduce derivatives of the artwork, or that the company didn't have the rights to the artwork for the Japanese market, and it wasn't the only time that Vallejo's art was recreated with a slight change of style for Japan. The same occurred with the Japanese release of Echo the Dolphin, which came a year after the European version, giving the image a slightly less inexplicable, eerie feel. If you want to see more examples like this, definitely check out Hardcore Gaming 101's page on tracing the influence. They have many great examples. Moving away from cover art, let's take a look at some in-game graphics for a rather popular game on the PlayStation 4 in 2016, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Prior to launch, a story trailer was released for the game, but one viewer, Azaza Aymar, head of content for Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed franchise, spotted something somewhat unexpected. Art of a natural arc in the edge of a cliff by the seaside could be seen resting above the mantle in the trailer, which Aymar recognised as being artwork from Assassin's Creed 4, which Naughty Dog did not request permission to use. He did point out though that the figure of a pirate had been removed, so there must have been effort put in to mask the image. Aymar wasn't particularly upset as a fan of Naughty Dog, but wished they'd asked for permission or credited the artist. Naughty Dog responded quickly with a summarised response from Neil Druckmann stating simply, "No two ways about it, we f***ed up." The full statement was simply that the art had been overlooked, taking full responsibility and apologising to all parties affected. The trailer was updated and the art was removed. This next piece of trivia is not quite what we expected last year, but it certainly brought back plenty of memories from our youth. Visual novel Monster Prom is a very curious game with the player having to procure a date for an upcoming prom at their monster high school. Artwork, which is sold officially as the poster for the game by the developers, was taken without permission to promote a concert for Papa Roach and Asking Alexandria at the Southside Ballroom in Texas. Julian Quijano, creative director for Monster Prom studio Beautiful Glitch, spoke on the matter, saying that with his previous work in nightclubs, he knew this happened all the time. He said, "Their graphic designers have to do some poster design per week for each party, concert, whatever. They just Google some random cool images to alter a bit and add the info. The whole thing just gave us some good laughs, silly puns, and a funny story to tell. Like damn, 10 years ago I was dancing to Papa Roach at a nightclub, completely unable of even imagining in the future they would be using, in a very nasty not nice way, art from a game I would create." Kotaku tried reaching out to Papa Roach, but neither their agent nor manager responded, almost like... And now it's time for this episode's random piece of trivia. Today we're looking at Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The game is absolutely littered with references to several popular movies, including the Alien franchise, such as in the mission Crew Expendable. There are a number of lines of dialogue that are a direct reference to the second Alien film, Aliens. Before entering the ship, Gaz pulls out his W1200 shotgun, pumps it, and claims,
"I like to keep this for close encounters."
"I like to keep this handy for close encounters."
Shortly after, Captain Price reminds the squadron to
check those corners. Check those corners.
Is it easy? Check those corners. Check those corners.
Finally, during the climax of the mission, Price exclaims,
"On your feet, soldier! We are leaving! We are leaving!"
Even the name of the mission itself, Crew Expendable, is a reference to the first Alien film, being the last phrase of the nefarious hidden objective of the Nostromo. That's all for today, but why not come over and check us out on Twitch? Daz and I are streaming there all the time. Recently we've been playing the classic point-and-click adventures Discworld. It's good fun. It's good fun if you want to come out, mostly just like chill, play video games, have a few laughs, you know, have a bevy, have a... I don't know. Come check it out. Come watch it anyway. You'll find out for yourself, you lazy fuck. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more video game facts and trivia.